we as humans have something called confirmation bias. And today we're going to talk about that because it is so crazy to me how confirmation bias is always omnipresent. And we're always talking about, oh, this isn't going to happen to us, but it did. And then people say, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Don't worry. This is going to all go away. And this is a once in a lifetime storm. We're never going to worry about it. But as I'm telling you all this, we are still, and I don't think the news has even talked enough about it, there's still almost 500,000 people without power in the North Carolinas. Absolutely crazy. And why am I telling you North Carolina, hurricanes, and confirmation bias? So, as you guys know, I did a bachelor's in general psychology. And let me talk about the definition confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a psychological term for human tendency to only seek out the information that supports one position or idea. This causes you to have the bias towards your original position because you only seek out information that supports one idea. You will only find information that supports that one idea. We are convinced that a particular investment is good. We may ignore warning signs that it might not be. Or if we're set on getting a job with a particular company, we might not consider other opportunities that may be better suited for us. So that is a brief example of confirmation bias. And I am talking about the storm that just hit the Carolinas. And there's so many people that are in trouble right now because there's still no electricity. It's hurting them, and there's just no end in sight because the next one, Milton's already, I got a picture right here, already coming. And people have told me many times when I lived on the Gulf Coast, because that's the area, that Fort Myers, Naples area that I just showed, is the area that I used to live in. And people said, oh, all these storms have been, that's not an issue. That's a once in a lifetime type of deal. We're not going to worry about it. And now we're seeing it again and again. And what's really mind-boggling is that the United States has the capabilities of extraordinating dominance in countries across the globe. They can fly. They say, if you're not going to abide by us, what we're going to say, we're going to come over there and we're going to enforce it at any cost. So what do I mean? I mean that we can fly out these huge military operation airplanes and we can just go across the globe and do whatever we want. But then in the North Carolinas, it's been a week and there's still no power. How come we can do all that crazy stuff halfway across the globe, and in our own country, we can't do it? We can't have power. So now I'm asking you, is it your or my job to keep the power on? Do we need to start buying solar backup batteries so in case something happens, we don't need to rely on the grid? I just think it's crazy to think that, hey, you're paying all these crazy amounts of electricity fees, and it is not cheap. It is not like it's $20, $30 a month. No, it's hundreds, depending on where you live every month, to have electricity. And I know some of them have, these electricity companies were in lawsuits, and then they had to pay out more. They had to increase the dues because they got into lawsuits and they killed people. And then it kind of keeps on rolling like that, and they had to increase the electricity rate. But how can it be that all these people are just kind of left helpless? And yeah, 1,000 troops they sent or something, 1,000 National Guard troops to help out, that's nothing. What's 1,000 troops going to do with a devastation like that? And to top it all off, they're saying that, hey, if you're a business, we can help you. We can give you low interest rate loans. I shit you not. They said if you're a business and you need funding or you need aid, you can get a low interest backed government loan. And I thought, this can't be right, because if you're in a business, like, really, you're gonna take out a loan to do that? I'd be like, no, go away, go away. So this is what some of these people say. You can ask FEMA. That's your number one option. You can ask FEMA if there are any grants or local business recovery programs, often financial aid, loans, or grants. And then they said, oh, you got to pivot your business and protect your assets. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely bananas. How can you do any of that? And there's still 420,000 people with no power. How are you going to run a business with no power? This is going to be huge devastation. How are you going to do anything if you don't have power? Like, that's almost like a basic need now for most people to have power. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling to see that they're like, hey, we're not going to help you get a grant or something because you've been hit by devastation. No. We're gonna give you a low interest loan to kind of make ends meet. But yeah, but hey, you should have taken out insurance for loss of wages if you run your own small business because an act of God. And you know that if you buy insurance because of an act of God and you want to make up these lost months or these lost weeks that they're going to happen, it's going to be months till you're going to make money again. The insurance company's not going to pay you. They're not even paying the people that had homeowners insurance with their floodings and houses and winds. They're going to come up with any reason possible to not pay. And so back to the confirmation biases is when I'm talking about all that kind of things is that we're always talking about this won't happen to me. This can't happen to me. It only happens to other people. And this is a lifetime story. And this is the narrative we tell ourselves. And I encourage you to start thinking like, hey, if somebody says something, maybe it's them just telling me their views. And maybe I should just say, hey, that might be something I need to look into. And I'm also trying to do that. And I'm sometimes thinking, where do I have my blind spots where I don't listen to stuff like that and I let my own confirmation bias be part of the problem? And I haven't quite figured it out yet because when I look at my area and I look at where I live, yeah, water might be an issue, but then we are so close to the Hoover Dam, and I actually did a tour, it was freaking amazing, that we are recycling most of our water, and there's going to be millions of people down the line that are affected before Las Vegas is going to be affected, frankly, because we do recycle 99% of the water. And so that kind of brought me up to thinking, where else am I not seeing it for Las Vegas? And I know that it's getting hotter. That I do actually enjoy because it's like 78 right now and I'm already wearing a jacket. And I don't have a problem with getting hotter. I just buy more air conditioner or do something because, man, sure can't take the cold anymore living in Switzerland. But where do I not see my biases? I'm just been on my mind when I saw this devastation and these pictures. And so I asked my viewers, what would you do? And one of them said, you just got to walk away and start over in the non-hurricane zone. And I kind of think that just walking away is always hard because when you just walk away and you're like, I just gotta, when you walk away from anything, an investment or anything else, you lose money. And the problem is that it's very expensive to walk away when you need to walk away, not when you want to walk away. So when you need to walk away, it's going to cost you so much more than when you want to walk away. Because when you can sell your house in a upwards market and you're like, you know what, it's a great idea to sell today, and you go and sell. That is something that's perfectly doable. But when everything is destroyed, your house destroyed, your neighbor's house destroyed, and you're going to fix it up with your own money, and then you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to sell. Who is going to be the fool? You know, the greater fool theory. Who's going to be the fool that's going to buy your house? And you might be lucky, you might not be. And so now I'm looking at all these business owners and the economics about that, because you as a business owner, and I've been there where it's just like you're on top of the world when you're making money. And now you hit rock bottom because there's been an act of God. And I can somewhat relate, not about how the destruction part, because when I had a frozen yogurt store that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and COVID came around and they shut me down. The California sheriff actually came and told me that my business was not essential, and they came and shut me down. But my bills were still due, and this was a forced shutdown on my end. And when you are a small business owner, you're making money, you're feeling good. You have these highs. It's almost like you're doing, I can only think that this is almost like drugs. It feels like you're on top of the world. But when there's stuff out of your control, because as a business owners, you like to be in control. You like to control the narrative. You like to control where your money's going, and you can then make informed decisions based off of the money that you're bringing in, off of revenue, off of customers, and you can see what kind of works. But then stuff happens that is beyond your control, like COVID, like these disasters that come and happen. And now you're like, what can I do to prevent that? Because it's all about mitigating risk, right? It's all about getting risk adverse. And so now I'm looking at it like, what can you do? And there is nothing you can do in these situations besides just piling away money and keep rainy day funds. But is it your responsibility to keep a huge rainy day fund? Because if your town's going to be messed up, your whole town is in trouble. How much or how long are you going to pick up the tab and pay your landlord or do something to keep it going? Because I don't think it's your responsibility to keep everything going and to better it out. And there's like a little dilemma, because I do love the community and I do love everybody around me, but how much are you going to do that? And I haven't quite figured that one out yet, but it's just crazy when you're looking at all these people that are just in devastation right now. And you can't go to them and say, oh, you should have moved, you should have moved. That's like an asshole thing to do. But then again, probably people said, hey, the writing's on the wall, something's going to happen. And they're like, oh my gosh, you can't say that. It's like, yeah, 200 people died. It's horrible. It's horrible. You got to protect your family. And now there's another one coming. So now the question is, are you going to leave or are you going to stay? And some people are going to say, oh, I've never left for one. And I have neighbors in Florida that's going to be right in the path. Oh, I've never left for one. And this one isn't going to be as bad as the other one. And I was like, man, you're gambling. You're rolling the dice on something that you don't have to. And I know some of these people that I know are retiring. They say, oh, they're going to loot and steal my stuff. And then you just got to say, hey, just because they're going to loot and steal your stuff, is it worth you being hurt or you not being able to do all these other things afterwards? Because if you leave and you go to up north, you go to Phoenix, you go take a weekend and you fly away, I know it's going to cost you money, but hey, you can replace most items. And yeah, some of them have sentimental value and all that, but it's not worth you getting hurt. And now it's like you're going to come back, and when it's all said and done, you're going to see how it is. And maybe your house still standing, maybe it has damage. And you're like, oh, I got to clean it up or do that. And when they're like this other person said, you're going to walk away, it's another option that you have, because as Americans, we have all the options in the world. And one thing I can tell you is that FEMA ain't going to come and help you out. If this one is going to be big, FEMA has no money unless Congress is going to step in and write a huge funding bill, and they're going to pass that. FEMA has their hands tied. They stole the money, they robbed, and people in the comments have been brutal and said that they robbed the money. And it's not just that, oh, we gave it to migrants, that's peanuts. Or we gave it to illegals, all that kind of stuff. Even if that happened, that's peanuts. These people took it from within. These people gave contracts and made money. It's just, and now people are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Look it up. Look it up. These people have mismanaged their funds, and there's been more disasters, so they ran out of money. And now we're in a spot where, what are we going to do now? If another one hits, where can we get the money to get all these repairs. Because I know one thing, insurance isn't going to do nothing. And these independent insurance adjusters are also, even if they write you a $200,000 claim or $300,000 and you're like, yep, I can get my repairs done, the insurance company is going to say, we'll give you $15,000 and you're done. And a lot of people are going naked. That means no insurance. So it is not looking good. It is not looking good. But it kind of fits the times, doesn't it? It kind of fits the times that we're in. These craziness going on with all the hurricanes, the elections, all these other stuff. It kind of fits the times. And I just hope that you didn't lose a loved one, because my heart goes out to you if you did. But man, we gotta get everything straightened out. It's just mismanagement at its finest. And so this was it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, let me know what you guys would do if you're living in an area like that. Would you stay? Would you move? Because I'm just like not 100% sure what I would do. And my neighbor had brunch with him yesterday, said, would you want to move back to Florida? And I said, not in these conditions, not in these conditions. And you know what's the funniest part about all this? The banks and all these other people are always saying, you gotta buy, you gotta be a buyer, you gotta be buying. If you're not owning your house, you're doing something wrong. Well, if you're a renter now and your house just, and your condo or house or whatever you rented has been flooded out, what do? You write them termination 30 days, and you can say, I'll gift you my security deposit. I'll gift you my security deposit. You walk away and you rent down the road, or you rent in the neighbor town, and you're good to go. So what does this mean? There's pros and cons to everything. So don't always just say, you need to be a buyer, you need to be a buyer. No, no, no. There's times and places for buying. There's times and places for renting. So just some food for thought. Let me know. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. I love chatting with you guys. And it is chilly in the morning. Man, it's like in the 70s and it is cold. So I'll see you guys in the next one.